Welcome! In this video we will talk about my two favorite soft synths, and they are Omnisphere 2 and Zebra 2. My name is Matthias, this is Morning Dew Media, and let's take the tour. Okay, so here we have Zebra 2, and what I like about this soft synth is that the layout of all the modules in this synth. In the middle here we have our device section, or our module section. We can see with our initial patch here, we have two oscillators, we have a noise generator, and we have a VCF, which stands for voltage controlled filter. And that's also a big part why I like the Zebra synth, because it has a wide variety of filters. We can see here the standard default filter is the low pass excite filter, and yeah, which can just listen to a patch here. And we can make these filters scream very easily too. Just increase the drive and give it some resonance here. And it's very easy to stack up voices. If we want more voices, just bump up this stacking to 11. And we can instantly have a very fat sound. Let's try another filter here. We can look at the all-round filter. And now we're really starting to scream with this synth. We can take a listen to more of the filters here. Let's take the low pass vintage. Then we have some other MS-20 filters and notch filters. Yeah, so that's the basic layout. You have the module sections in the middle, you have your oscillators and the depth parameter controls for all these modules on your left side, and then we have these envelopes and LFOs, etc. on the right side, and the modulators. So we can just double click and disable devices very easily here in Zebra, and that's a big part of why I like it, because if you want to figure out how a sound is made, if you are starting out learning synthesis, it's just very easy. Double click a device and see how it was built. Here we have the oscillator 1, and we enable the noise. And we can enable the filter. So it's just a very good layout for learning synthesis. And I talk about this in many of my videos, that I like this node editor view. Coffee. And with Zebra we have 4 lanes here, so we can just disable a lane or mute the lane and start to work on a second lane here with a basic oscillator. It's currently set to It's oscillator 3, it sets to a sawtooth, but we can easily create a sine wave by going to any of these waveform modes, like spectral blend. And here we can select which of the partials we want to play. So now it's basically only a sine wave. And then you can paint or draw your waveform. And we also have a lot of oscillators, like in Serum, we can load up different oscillators or wave tables. Here we can take this bell flipper, and we instantly have a bell sound with all these wavetable, different oscillator wavetables. And we can walk through these very easily, just to go up here. Here we have the wave selection, wavetable selection, and add a mod mapper. And basically it's going to, for each key press, it's going to walk you through this mod map, and you're going to get let's see, increment. And now it's going to walk you through all these. So if we increase the release, we get the bell sound. With slightly different timbre for each hit. And if I wanted to do a FM synthesis, that's very easy in Zebra 2. Just add a FM device here, an FM module. Now we can only hear this FM module, and you can actually change how all these FM modules will behave. This is a pure sine at the moment. We can set it to other modes. We can also change it to stereo. And add a little bit of vibrato. And set the amount of frequency modulation. Let's move that to the third lane. Now we have 2 lanes here activated. The first one with the bell, and the third here with the FM. We can also pan each of these. So I think that's very great, the layout of a synth. So you can just disable and enable parts to learn synthesis on the way. And Zebra also has multi-segment envelope generators, so you can create your own curves like this. So you have a lot of possibilities to mold and create sounds, and on the way learn synthesis. And also Zebra has perform pages and a ton of presets. And of course an arpeggiator and a lot of XY parameters that you can set up, and the mod matrix of course. And the effects of Zebra sound very good. It has a lush reverb and the delay is very nice. And it has a lot of options to saturate and overdrive your sound with shapers and distortions and folder devices. So you just add this shaper, which is my favorite saturator of Zebra, which can really edge up your sound. Yeah, so that's a few reasons why I like this Zebra 2 synth. It's just very hands-on and easy to use, and you learn synthesis on the way, and yeah, it's just a very good workflow and setup in this synth. And it has tons of great filters. Okay, so let's take a look at Omnisphere. If you would like to express your own idea on your favorite synthesizers and explain why they are your favorites, you can please write that in the comments field below. Okay, so here we have Omnisphere 2, and what really makes Omnisphere a power synth, you can see it says power synth here. That's actually, for me, it's the sound library or the sound sources that comes with Omnisphere 2. because there's a huge library of sound sources, and each of these samples are extremely high quality. We can just take a listen here to one of the phrase samples within Omnisphere 2. There's a ton of phrase samples. They can be a bit hard to find because if you go to the browser, the patch browser, you're not going to see the phrases here, but you're going rather to see the actual patches. But to watch the phrases, you have to go into one of these parts. Omnisphere 2 has 4 parts, and it also has 8 tracks, if you will. But on this one, the A part, we have a phrase, African flute. It sounds like this initially. As you can hear, it's a very high quality sampled African flute. Let's add a little bit of effect. And the effects of Omnisphere is also very high quality. Lots of great distortions and amplifiers. Modulation devices like analog flangers and analog phasers. And you have these creative effects which are very great. And yeah, the delays and compressors. And you can also freeze the reverb, which is a very nice effect if we want to create epic pads. So you can just sample this sample freeze and you have a epic pad instantly. Well, so let's go back to the part 1 here, track 1, part A, and go into granular mode, because now it's just playing the whole sample through, but we're going to activate the granular mode. So that's just an example of what you can do with the phrase samples of Omnisphere 2. If we put them to granular mode, then you can also add unison and the harmonia, which is also kind of a unison. Okay, but just let's take a listen to some more of these phrase samples before we continue here. And these are excellent to use with the granular mode too. As you can hear, some of these samples are also in stereo and they are in very high quality. Abba, Abba! Let's put that through the granular engine. So you can easily create very epic pads and very smooth and interesting sounds with a lot of texture. And then of course you also have this huge hardware library of patches. and oscillators from classical synthesizers like the ARP Odyssey, Core Monopoly, MS-20, Minimoog, Modular, Oberheim, Jupiter 8, etc. So yeah, so I highly recommend Omnisphere 2 because of the huge and very fine sound library that comes with this powerful power synth and sampler. There are links in the description here if you want to check out these fine synths further. Omnisphere 2 for its very nice sound library and all the possibilities to mold and these granular modes to create new interesting sounds out of the samples, and that you can load your own samples into this fine sound engine. And I select the Zebra 2 because it's such a nice synthesizer for learning synthesis, and that you have all these powerful filters within Zebra that sounds so unique, and yeah, they are very inspiring. Okay, so what's your favorite software synthesizers? Please let me know in the comments below and explain why you have selected those synths as your favorites. I just released a new track called They Are True. It's a kind of post-rock slash Coldplay kind of track. And there's a link in the description if you want to listen to that track. Okay, so I hope you like this video. Please write some nice feedback in the comment section below. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new. Okay, thanks for watching today. My name is Matthias. See you in the next video. Bye!